What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Richie Sambora. As always, big thank you to Michaela, who has provided multiple albums, and not just for Richie, but a great many things, but specifically Richie. And we now go to his Undiscovered, is it Undiscovered Soul? I'm suddenly second guessing myself. I think that's right. His 1998 album, Undiscovered Soul, indeed. Which is a really interesting and poetic but also a bit cryptic title, so we'll see, whether over the course of the album I get a better sense of what that might mean. But the first track is Made in America, which, okay, number one, it's a manufacturing label you see sometimes here in the US, Made in America, which is, about domestic manufacturing and, jobs and so on. There's a lot of economic connotations that come with that, and I guess for some people there's a sense of, like cultural pride or something, though we do live in a global economy, and so I'm not sure it means what it may have decades ago, nor does it necessarily indicate that there is some cultural cachet to it. In any case, this is from the late 90s, so it's not the same as if, this phrase was written today in 2026. But secondarily, I wouldn't be surprised if this is something which can be extrapolated into the realm of, a person who, is born here, grew up here, and thus, in some sense, is made in America. And, of course, what that might mean could depend on a person's life trajectory or their experiences, their own understanding, psychological, emotional, cultural, and social. So it's a really evocative title, and I do wonder in what angle or in what context the meaning might function. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if it does function on multiple levels. So let's give it a listen and see if I can understand, or at least have some sense. This is Made in America by Richie Sambora, the first tune on his 1998 album, Undiscovered Soul.
1, 2, 3, 4. Made in America, 1959. Born down by the factories across the Jersey City line. Raised on radio, just a jukebox kid. I was alright. Just a small town homeboy with big time dreams, following his conscience in a world full of extremes. Fresh out of high school, only 17, I was alright. Blinded by my vision, there was just no turning back. Like a runaway train, life was steaming down the track. They said I'd never make it out, but I kept on hanging on. And every night I'd pray to Jesus, and I had my head up stuck. I landed on my feet. Made in America, I was brought up on the street. My old man's independence seemed good enough for me. I was made in America. Made in America. Never cared much about politics till I was 21. But I woke up one night, found the wrong hand on a gun. He left his inspiration before he said goodbye, and we were alright. We all lose our innocence, it's impossible to hold. I didn't know it then, I had a pocket full of gold. When I kissed those younger days goodbye, it almost broke my heart. I was going through my growing pains, I was driving in the dark, but I was alright. I landed on my feet. Made in America, I was brought up on the street, facing up to freedom, chasing down a dream. I was made in America. Yeah, I was made in America. It's impossible to hold. I just didn't know it then. I had a pocket full of gold. When they said I'd never make it, I just kept on hanging on. And every night I prayed to Jesus, and I had my lips up, but I was alright. I landed on my feet. Made in America, I was brought up on the street, facing up to who I am, chasing down my dream. I was made in America. Yeah, I was made in America. Made in America.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm laughing with you in a good way. Yeah, that is a really cool song for multiple reasons. Number one, it feels just straight away autobiographical, and talking about when he was born. So I guess like if he was born in '59, it was '59, right? And this is '98. He's about to hit year 40, right? About to hit a sort of, as it's seen by a lot of people, and certainly as I would say in my own life trajectory, a significant milestone. And when you really, whether you want to or not, are entering middle age, and looking back, reflecting on where he came from, the significant markers of his life journey up until that point, and its characterization. And ultimately, I think it's a sort of optimistic, not pride or proud in like a, sort of narcissistic way, but like, hey, I landed on my feet, I made it. And, that's not to say that everything was perfect, and, he grew up on the streets, and he, had to learn to recognize that sometimes traumatic things happen. I think he makes reference to like Lennon, like being, shot and killed because he said it was 21, and that would be 1980, right? So he's also saying, though, that like he was forged in the U.S. biologically, culturally, and socially, and for better or worse, it made him who he is. And he's talking about his own identity again, like nationally, socially, religiously, and psychologically, emotionally, like personally. And it's, he made it, and he's learned along the way, and he recognizes that, you can't keep your innocence forever. Eventually you realize that, things can be troubled. And, his line that like, I never cared much for politics until he hit 21, and that significant event happened, and he perhaps began to think about things more and more. but still, he's a guy who, came from sort of humble origins in New Jersey, and he had big dreams, and, some ways might have been blinded by those visions, but certainly by this time, he's absolutely achieved some of those dreams, and, become a musician and a singer and a rock star and a, cultural icon, if you will. So, yeah, it feels like a really sweet tune, a very personal tune, and one where, again, like the idea at 40, you might want to take stock of, what your identity is, where you've been, how far you've come, and what that all means. And so I think that's really sweet. It's another one which has this kind of blues rock feel to it. I enjoy the organ when I hear it. Obviously, there's a lot of great guitar work, including, some flourishes with a bit of fire. And his vocals are very much the same. They're in a good place, in a sort of blues rock kind of place, but he does flare them up and, sing with a bit more passion in certain parts, and he just has a really good voice, and I think it lends itself especially well to a tune like this, where it's clear that it's very much, kind of telling his own life story as he's experienced it. So, yeah, I just like this one, from top to bottom in all ways. And again, Made in America, definitely with a layered meaning, but, not so much about, like, manufacturing products that are made here, but still playing off of that for the idea that, like, look, this is who I am, and, this is where I was forged, this is where I was made, and that has layers of meaning again. So, yeah, just a really cool one from Richie. Thank you again to Michaela. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.